I want to transition, talking about transitions, here a little bit, because you talk about, okay, being in the hospitality business and, burning out, and then that leading to moving on into the photography business.
Mm-hmm.
But now, right, like a few months ago when Corona hit, right, like you were pretty much forced to pivot in a whole different way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe not willingly, but I mean, the business was probably impacted because of, you guys are going to the coolest events and photographing the coolest people and getting to know some awesome people. But I'm curious about the contrast between that change
Mm-hmm.
willingly and now this change that is more forceful, if you can put it in a way.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I love photography, and I love it because it allows me to stretch the artistic muscle. But there's one thing I learned in the 14 years of running a studio. Okay, believe it or not, I'm a photographer second. I'm a servant first. And one of the ways that I found that was the more Emily and I photograph, and Emily's very similar in that regard. The more we photographed, when we very first started, we got a fair amount of feedback, and we would always send out surveys, and we'd inquire about our clients, how were they happy, and a lot of the testimonials talked about the art, especially when you're talking about weddings. But as we transitioned into corporate America and we started doing more and more corporate events, the feedback we got was about the experience we created just as much, if not more, than the portfolio of photography we would send. Okay.
Wow.
And that was this sort of enlightening moment where I realized I'm a servant first, right? I was in the hospitality industry, which basically means you bend over backwards to ensure that customer is you're exceeding their expectations. You're being proactive, not reactive, all those things. And so basically I took what I was doing in hotels and in hospitality and I applied it to a business. And instead of delivering a service, I was delivering a service and a product of photography.
Yeah.
So I think it was about 5 years ago, I had some people saying like, hey, I have a question for you, in your business, this, in your business, that. And so I started giving out advice just based on people asking me questions. And I said, Emily, I really like this. I like the idea. I like this feeling of being a servant to these people because you're not giving a man a fish. You're teaching him how to fish. They're coming to me and they're saying, hey, I need somebody to help me make sure that this effort is going to be a success. And the effort you're talking about is typically them building and running a business that's going to be their livelihood. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start this up. And I started like a little website and I did all this little stuff. And then 3.5, or I guess it would have been 4.5 glorious years ago, my wife came out and said, I think we're pregnant. And like I said, the universe kind of tells you certain things. And at that time, the universe was like, slow your roll, buddy. You just focus on the business you're doing, and you're about to be a dad, which was obviously the biggest and best thing that's ever happened to me. But it was about a year ago. And I think you guys will like this anecdote because it goes to the talk about like failing faster and just doing something. It was March, exactly a year ago. I had photographed an event. I think it was for Russell. And then I went back to it was 10X. It was Russell speaking at 10X. And then I had to go back to Miami a little while later for another client. And while I was there, I was like, forget it. I'm just going to do it. I pressed live on my phone. I went live on Facebook and I talked about how I was launching something new. And awesome. I gave myself 5 days. I did a 5-day countdown. I'm so excited to share this all with you. And for 5 days, I kind of restructured and built a little website and got everything going. The only problem was I hadn't given enough critical thought to my content, to my message, to what I was actually trying to do. And here was the lesson I learned. I got ahead of my skis. I basically had this countdown that the events industry was watching and they were super excited about. I was getting all the support, but it was a countdown to a whole lot of not enough. I didn't deliver on the promise. And so I got over my skis and man, did I feel terrible about it. And I beat myself up about it. And people were like, really excited for you, which was the lesson I learned that was so exciting was there was probably about 150 people that signed up and said, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm in. And that was just such a cool feeling, a cool feeling. But then at the same time, I gave myself a hard time. So fast forward to 2020, here we are. I had been putting the ball in play and putting it into motion, But as of second week of March, the constriction, let's say, of the events industry basically brought a close to at least the operation of photography in the event space. Our business is still here. We still can't wait to serve clients that need our photography, but at the moment there's no need for it. So I've put 110% into something that you guys know is not the easiest transition. And the funnest part about that is I've had the time. I'm trying to leverage that time. The people in this industry, man, the people in this industry are so gracious and giving of their time that I'm finally able to sort of like deliver on that promise from a year ago. And it's been really exciting. So it's the universe has told me what I need to be doing right now. And that's what I'm spending all my time doing.